I've been thinking about how uncomfortable it is to be between chapters. Something ended and something changed. A door closed, a plan didn't work. Or maybe you simply know that the season that you were in is over. But there's one problem, right? You don't know what's next. And I think that's where a lot of us panic because we'd much rather and we'd be a lot more comfortable letting go of something if God immediately showed us what was replacing it. We want the next job before leaving the old one. We want the next opportunity before releasing the current one. The entire plan before taking the first step. We want God to say, here's exactly where we're going. Here's exactly how long it's going to take. And here's how much it'll cost you. And here's how everything turns out. I'd love that. But that doesn't seem to be how God usually works. I've been thinking about Abraham. God told him, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to a land that I will show you, not the land that I've already completely explained to you, the land I will show you. Abraham had enough information to obey, but not enough information to control the journey. And maybe that's intentional because there's a difference between having a plan and having faith. I like plans, plans are useful. Scripture speaks positively about wisdom, preparation, and counting the cost. But I've also learned that sometimes my need for a plan is really my need for control. I don't just want to know what I should do today. I want reassurance about tomorrow and next year and 5 years from now. But Jesus, he said something incredibly simple. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. And that's difficult for me because tomorrow feels like something I should be solving. What should happen? What will happen? Will there will there be enough money for tomorrow? Will this work? What if the plan fails? What if I make the wrong decision? What if something happens to my family? What if the thing that I'm building never becomes what I imagined? And if I'm not careful, I can spend today's strength trying to carry tomorrow's problems, problems that haven't even happened, maybe never even will. And even if they do, God hasn't given me tomorrow's strength yet. He has given me today's. And that's something that I'm trying to learn. God often gives daily bread, not a lifetime supply, enough for today. Then tomorrow we come back. And I think about Israel in the wilderness. God provided manna, but they weren't supposed to hoard it because they were afraid that he wouldn't provide again tomorrow. They had to trust him again and again and again. And I don't think that was only about food, it was teaching dependence. And maybe there are seasons where God doesn't allow us to see the whole path because knowing the whole path, that would allow us to stop depending on him. And if I knew exactly what the next 20 years held, maybe I wouldn't need faith. I just follow the itinerary. But that's not the relationship that God seems to invite us into. He says, follow me. And following means that the person you're following knows where you're going, even when you don't. That's a picture that I've started appreciating. If I'm walking behind someone that I trust to a place that I've never seen, I don't need the entire map. I need to stay close enough to the person who knows the way. Maybe that's what some of us need right now. Not just more information, more closeness to God. Because uncertainty has a way of exposing what we actually trust. When everything is working, it's easy to say that I trust God. When the income is stable, the family's healthy, the plan makes sense, the doors are opening. But when the map disappears, something deeper gets revealed. Do I trust God or did I just trust the circumstances that He gave me? That's uncomfortable. I've had seasons where I've wanted God to tell me what He was doing in my life. And sometimes, quite frankly, He didn't, at least not immediately. Looking backwards, I can see things that I couldn't see while I was living them. A closed door redirected me. A failure taught me something. A painful season in my life changed my priorities entirely. And, that's not something that we often think about or consider. So, something I thought that was being taken away in my life created room for something that I didn't see and know existed yet. But I couldn't see any of that at the time. All I could see was the loss. And that's why I think hindsight can be a gift Because when I don't understand what God is doing now, I can remember the times that I didn't understand him before, and yet he was still there. Maybe that's what trust is built from, remembering. David did this constantly in Psalms. He would be surrounded by trouble and remember what God had already done for him. That's powerful because memory gives faith evidence. Not evidence that everything will happen exactly the way I want, but evidence that God has been faithful before. So maybe you're in between chapters right now. You don't know what the next year is going to look like. Maybe you don't even know what the next month's going to look like. I don't think you have to pretend that uncertainty feels good. It doesn't. And I don't think that faith means making reckless decisions because God will figure it out. Wisdom still matters. Plan what you can, save, prepare, ask questions, seek counsel, do the responsible thing. But eventually, you reach the edge of what you can control. And that's where trust begins. And I've been trying to replace one question. Instead of constantly asking, God, what's the entire plan? I'm trying to ask, God, what is mine to do today? Maybe today it's work. Maybe it's waiting. Maybe it's making a phone call. Maybe it's sending an application. Maybe it's apologizing. Maybe it's resting. Maybe it's taking care of your family. Maybe it's simply refusing to make a fearful, driven decision. Whatever it is, do today's thing. Then tomorrow, ask again. Because maybe we don't need a 10-year plan from God. Maybe we need enough light for the next step. Psalm 119 says, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light under my path. And I've always found that interesting. A lamp for my feet, not a floodlight showing the next 50 miles, a lamp. Enough light to see where you're stepping. Then another step becomes visible, then another. Maybe that's how we're supposed to walk, not knowing everything, but knowing enough to keep following. And honestly, there's freedom in that. I don't have to solve my entire life today. I don't have to know exactly who I'll be in 20 years. I don't have to understand every season before I enter it. I don't have to force doors open because I'm afraid that nothing else is coming. I can work, prepare, I can listen, move when it's time to move, wait when it's time to wait, and trust that God isn't confused about where He's taken me, even when I am. So if you're standing in between what was and whatever comes next, don't panic because the next chapter hasn't been revealed yet. Maybe this isn't empty space. Maybe this is where trust is being built. You don't need the entire map. You don't need every answer. You don't need to know how the story ends. You need enough faith for the next step that's actually in front of you. And when tomorrow comes, God, He's already going to be there. So, hey, it's hot. I'm sweating. Thanks for coming, man. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for seeing the journey. I appreciate y'all just for listening. And until the next one, peace.